Nash to the House. The first motion is Senator Crockwell. Senator Crockwell, you have 4 minutes.
Good morning, Minister. I know that you're very busy as a result of yesterday's budget, and I thank you for coming to the House to debate this important issue, which has been raised by the Business Retail Union of Ireland, which is essentially a group that has come together from both the retail trade and from subcontractors in the construction industry to, if you want, defend their causes. The Construction Contracts Act was first introduced in this House by my colleague Senator Quinn, and it was signed by the President into law in 2013. It's an important piece of legislation, providing as it does for enforceable stage payments to subcontractors, removing the possibility of payments being withheld for extended periods of time, and most importantly for establishing and adjudicating systems to deal with any disputes. It's a robust act, but to date it has not been commenced. I'm aware, Minister, that Dr Neil Bunny has been appointed as chairperson of the Construction Contracts Adjudication Panel, and that the closing date for applications to the ministerial panel of adjudicators has recently passed. However, I'd like to ask you, Minister, when the panel will be in place and when will the Act be commenced? I would also like to ask you, Minister, why for 2 years the Code of Practice for Contractors for conduct of adjudication has not been finalised and published, and again, may we have a definitive date for its publication, please? As it's now 5 years since the bill was first introduced and 2 years since it became law, a bigger question, Minister, is why have you delayed so long in removing the administrative impediments to the Act's commencement? Surely, Minister, this process could have been initiated immediately after the Act was signed. That it took 2 full years to appoint a chairman and a panel to draft a code of practice is nothing short of a scandal. It is particularly scandalous in an industry where thousands of subcontractors have gone out of business in the wake of the worst downturn in the construction sector this country has ever seen. Almost a year ago, the CIF Director General, Tom Parlin, said that builders were facing collapse over pay delays, and that thousands of those in other trades have suffered real hardship. Minister, in view of the gross injustice that was done to these subcontractors by contractors who could not, or more likely would not pay them, the delay in commencing this Act has been an example of careless government and lackadaisical public administration at its worst. Let's not forget, Minister, that most of the subcontractors are themselves employers, offering well-paid professional careers to skilled craftspeople. They're the kind of careers that even the most imaginative activation measures could now create. Yet these small businesses have been jeopardised, not just by market forces and payments disputes, but by the inaction of the very department charged with jobs and innovation. The whole situation actually beggars belief. Yesterday in the budget, Minister, your government announced a number of very positive initiatives for the construction sector, including the extension of the home renovation grant and increased provision for social housing and measures to assist self-employed. But what small to medium-sized contractor will take the risk to accept a job and hire people to undertake it without the legislative safeguards that the Act provides? This is a real case of while administration differs, small businesses die. Outside the gate this morning, Minister, we have a small number of subcontractors, many of whom employ 6 or 7 people. These are the people who are the lifeblood of employment in Ireland, and we have let them down badly. The developers have hopped off to the south of Spain or other parts of the world, and we have let them down. I met one subcontractor out there this morning who's told payments he's waiting for since last April can't be made because of some difficulty with NAMA. This is totally and utterly unacceptable behaviour. And I know, Minister, from meeting you in here on several occasions, you have a genuine interest in seeing jobs created and securing jobs. But it is totally and utterly beyond belief that we still haven't taken the steps we need to take to protect these small subcontractors, many of whom have 5 or 6, 10, 20 or 30 people. Contractors I met outside this morning and contractors I've been in contact with over the last few days tell me they would not employ anybody and will be very slow to seek work from some of the developers who are now re-emerging, having spent their time in the limbo of NAMA. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Gael. Well, the contractors of which you speak will be in a position to benefit from this legislation very soon. I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak in the House on the subject of the implementation of the Construction Contracts Act 2013. I can assure you that I'm taking all the necessary steps to bring about the implementation of the Act as soon as possible. Following the government decision late last year to assign responsibility for this to me as Minister for Business and Employment. This innovative legislation, which was introduced in this House by our colleague Senator Feargal Quinn, aims to ensure prompt payment practices throughout the construction industry. The commencement of the Act is, however, dependent on a number of factors set out in the legislation, including the appointment of a chairperson and a panel of adjudicators. I am pleased to inform the Senator, and he has referred to it earlier on, that some significant progress has been made to date concerning the matters, and I have appointed Dr Gael Government as chairperson of the Construction Contracts Adjudication Panel. Just a short matter of months after, in fact, I received formal responsibility for this particular Act. I consider that Dr Bunny, the person we did appoint to the role of chairperson, is exceptionally well qualified, and I was delighted that he has accepted this position. He's widely known and respected and has extensive experience of dispute resolution in the construction industry, both in Ireland and internationally. The Public Appointment Service is, at my request, conducting an open, competitive process for the selection of the members of the panel of adjudicators. That's an open and a transparent public process, and I think the Senator would agree with me that that should be the case. And the closing date for applications was on the 18th of September, just a couple of short weeks ago. I will appoint suitably qualified candidates to the panel as soon as is practicable following the completion of the assessment process by the Public Appointment Service. I am also reviewing the Code of Practice for the Conduct of Adjudications, which is required under the legislation, and it will be finalised after consultations with relevant stakeholders, and we are making good progress on that. So once these preparatory arrangements have been completed, a date for the implementation of the Act will be announced in advance in order to provide sufficient notice to those affected by its provisions. While I am not in a position to give an exact commencement date in advance of the completion of the steps which I referred to earlier, I am committed to implementing this groundbreaking legislation for the benefit of all stakeholders in the construction industry at the earliest opportunity. And there is a secretariat in place in my department. There are officials in place who are responsible for the Construction Contracts Authority. We set that system up a few months ago, and they are working very, very hard to get this moving in the right direction, and I am confident that this operation will be up and running very, very shortly, Senator.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, you said the Public Appointments Commission, the closing date was the 18th of September, so that has passed now. We're almost a month beyond that. Have interviews taken place, or are they about to take place? And is that now the only impediment that exists to the commencement date? I mean, no disrespect to yourself, Minister, but you know, you said you took it over late last year, so we're coming almost a year since you took it over. I do appreciate that there are administrative issues. Is there any moratorium in the public service preventing the appointment of these people to the panel? Nothing like that.
No.
So have you any idea, have the interviews taken place, or will they soon take place? And will you commence the Act as soon as you have the panel?
Well, I think this is about getting this right. It's very clear in the legislation the type of people and the backgrounds of the people that we need to consider for appointment to the panel as adjudicators, and they are a registered professional as defined in Section 2 of the Building Control Act, a chartered member of the Institute of Engineers, a barrister, solicitor, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, or a person with qualification equivalent to any of those categories duly obtained in any other member state of the European Union. We've had a significant interest in this whole area. The Public Appointment Service is an independent body set up to deal with issues like this, and I've asked them to run this process in an open and a transparent fashion. We haven't quite yet decided either the exact number of people who will be on the panel. That's a matter to be decided, and that will be based on the outcome of the competition being conducted by the PAS, and the chair of the Construction Contracts Authority, given the very technical nature of the work that it will be doing, has a very key role in terms of the selection of people with relevant qualifications and experience and expertise, and indeed people with practical experience in the industry, because it is a very, very technical area. But I think this legislation, when it is fully commenced, and when the body is up and running will be a huge boon to the people that I'm concerned about and that you're concerned about, Senator Crockwell. People who have been operating under very, very difficult circumstances in years. We took Senator Quinn's bill. I think we've improved that. And I only took responsibility for this a short period of time ago. I actively sought responsibility for it because of my interest in this area. And I think it's properly accommodated in my department, given the experience of my department and its agencies in terms of running agencies like this in the public interest. So I expect to see this up and running very, very shortly. I can't give an exact commencement date because this is about getting it right, not the timing, but I appreciate that each day that goes by, subcontractors in particular are concerned about when this will be initiated, but it will be initiated and up and running very, very soon indeed. We have provided resources in last year's estimates and the budget for the construction contracts service, and we've done so this year as well. So I think that people will be very happy with this system when it is up and running, notwithstanding the fact that I accept that given the delays that people are concerned. But I took responsibility for this towards the end of last year, appointed Dr Bunny in July, and he's working very closely with PAS and my department to get this up and running very, very shortly indeed, and we will be finalising the code shortly too.
Minister.
Minister, we may just drop you a line and ask you to let us know. Thank you. Sorry.